Hello and welcome to the Christmas edition of the Abominable Snowman and his pixie elf. Hi, pixie elf.
Oh, is that me? Hi, Snowman. How are you? Oh,
Santa's
it's you.
very happy ho
How are you?
Well, I'm out there doing all my let's be merry, let's be jolly, let's be happy, let's be kind, let's be aware of how difficult this season can be on people. And guess what, baby? You and me, people.
Mm,
And
yep, that is true.
this is our only show together of the month.
Wait, is it? Don't we have one next week?
Next week is, I thought we decided we weren't going to do the day after Christmas. Is it next week, the
You're
day after Christmas?
speeding up time. No, next week is the 19th, and then we
Oh,
won't.
so
So,
we have this one and we have two more. So we have two this month.
two this month. So, it's still a lean month, but two this month. And we only had two
Two.
in November.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I was not well for the last show together and we did a replay.
Yep. Yep. So how are you feeling today, Miss Ashley?
Oh, I am ducky. I'm fine. It's been a good day. I'm whispering. I'm headed on vacation tomorrow. Don't tell Kevin because he always yells at me for going away or makes fun of me. So today was a good day. Did some packing. I wrapped up some work stuff, and I had to take my mom to an appointment this afternoon, which for a 10-minute appointment is a lot of driving, but it's fine. I had the time to do it, so I was happy to be of service. So that's it. I came in on two wheels, and here I am.
Well, you like I learn how to be productive in the car.
I usually am, but I had my mom for company, so we just chatted, which I love hanging out with my mom, and there's no interruptions or anything like that. So it was good. It was a nice afternoon to spend with her. I'll take it.
Great.
Yeah.
So you fly out tomorrow for where?
We are going to Turks and Caicos tomorrow, a little island beach time for a little pre-holiday post finals for my daughter, little escape.
Well, it won't be beach time, but I am going in January for a week to Phoenix, so at least it will be
Ooh.
warm time.
Yeah, that'll be lovely.
It will be sitting outside and dining. It will be hiking. It will, so my time is coming. Yours is just now. And yours was just yesterday, and yours will just be again tomorrow. And
I'm not even going to tell you that I'm planning a trip to Sedona in February. So there you go.
So when do you get back?
I get back on Wednesday, so I will be here.
So it is just a mini trip. Yeah.
It's pretty long for us. We don't typically go for 5 nights, so it'll be nice.
I can understand that,
Yeah.
not wanting to spend 5 nights in a row with your family.
I am happy to. It's all good. It's all good. Nothing a little pina colada can't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I think I'm going to go make myself one. Just keep
Yeah.
the show going. I'll be back in a minute.
We hear the blender commercial
So
break.
we were supposed to have our last show was supposed to be wrapping up gratitude. And this month we were supposed to be kind of moving into surviving the holidays. So I just, we didn't get a chance to finish wrapping up gratitude. I don't know how much wrap up we had. We had a really good gratitude show, as I remember. and the things, and you did a lot of gratitude postings.
I did. I loved doing that.
You did a post a day, pretty much.
I did. I don't remember what date I started, but during a meditation, it came to me that that was something that would be really good for me and good for people who read it. So I figured, why not? So I put it on Facebook and did a post every single day until Thanksgiving. And it felt really good to dive into what I'm actually grateful for. Like, let me think of something that's a little offbeat. And then let me really think about and unpack, why am I grateful for this? And like really feel into it. And I put a lot of thought and a lot of time into making the posts and looking for pictures that gave me some inspiration. And it was really fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And I would probably still do it if I wouldn't be annoying. So it stopped. I figured people had seen enough of my silly gratitude, but I'm trying to continue it mentally. It's just not the same exercise as making a post and finding the pictures. It's a lot more streamlined to just think about things that I'm grateful for daily. But I loved it.
So, well, I think that's good. And, and part of that is it's the power of the energy we're putting in the focus.
Yep.
And so, we are actually being, in a way, very present. Excuse me. I've got a toad in my throat.
You have a reindeer.
Bigger.
A reindeer in your throat.
Yes. If I had more lighting on, you'd see that I have my Rudolph nose on. No. It's the fact that we stop, we get fully into the moment, we step into being grateful for whatever. We radiate that. It's in our energy field. We throw it out like you would throw out a ship in a bottle and let the tide take it out into the world. And we are kind of extending that energy out, but it flushes us with the energy of gratitude and sharing it with other people. And, with any of that stuff, the ritualistic part of like doing it and being fully present and being fully aware and being fully into it is part of the power that makes it successful.
Yeah.
If it's like, oh, I got to do my gratitude thing today. Oh God, well here, oh well that looks good. Oh, post, I did it. You can tell when you can feel when you do those.
Yeah.
Yeah, when somebody's doing a post and you're like, well, the words were kind of good, but the energy didn't match up, or the person didn't match up, or like there was, you can tell when somebody's really like in it and radiating the energy, even if you're not seeing them, even if you're just seeing the picture or the write-up, you can say, yeah, this reeks of gratitude. No.
Well, that I'm energy is the way that I read everything. So for me, I can definitely feel the difference in communications that have the right energy behind it. So I agree with you completely.
So that, that leads me to ask a very tangential question. Because it's me. Should we have one of our love languages? Should one of our love languages be energy? Energy as a love language.
Well, yes, I'm going to go absolutely yes, but I'm not sure that defining it does it justice. I think that either, and energy is constantly changing. So either people communicate energetically in a, in a positive way or in a negative way. It can go both ways. And I think that is happening in a subconscious way for everybody already. So, you go to a party and you're like, wow, I really like that person. And you don't know why. You talked to them for 3 minutes, but you felt like, okay, I get it. And I think that's our energies communing and communicating in a way more intelligent way than our silly human brain can. And then conversely, if you meet somebody and you're like, I don't know, I just didn't get a good feeling, like my creep meter, that's my favorite one. I taught my daughters, I'm like, listen to your creep meter. If that goes off, then you need to listen to it, because energetically it's not a good match.
So, when I think of love languages, and, that's a common usage term these days, there's the book and there's the set love languages and blah, blah. And, after coming up next month will be 35 years of doing what I do, is that, these terms change. The latest book, the new book, the new way to say it, and you look at it and you go, okay, well, a book in the 50s said something like that, but they languaged it differently, and it was appropriate for that listening audience of the 50s or the 70s or whatever. And kind of everything old becomes new again,
right.
Type of model. But energy as a love language is to say, if you want me to feel loved in our loving relationship, not meeting somebody at a party so much. I mean, I got your example, but if I said to my husband, Jeff, look, one of my main love languages is energy, which means that when you're interacting with me, I want you to come in. I want you to literally feel your heart energy opening up. And I want you and I to take a moment and actually take a second and feel that connection and say, hey, I'm here. I'm present with you, And if I make a conscious effort to not just verbally be supportive, but to support you with my energy, to love you with my energy, to make that extra step of a conscious decision that energy is your love language. And even if, and this is what I see happens with a lot of, because I do a lot of couples work. And in couples is you have the person who tends to be more in tune with energy, and you tend to have, there usually tends to be one that's less in tune with energy. It's rare you have two people that are equally in tune with energy. And some people get energy, and sometimes people that get energy are with people who don't get energy. But if you were to say to them, my love language is energy, which is you making a constant decision to say, how am I feeling and how am I projecting that feeling out to you? Am I coming to you and am I irritated at something else? And am I coming to you with irritated energy? Well, I need to come to you and go, look, I'm really irritated now, and I'm not irritated with you, but I have irritated energy. And where your love language is energy, I know you're going to pick up on this. And so part of my love language is to say, I can't stop being irritated because I just, dealt with whatever. But I can identify, because energy is your love language, that it's going to impact you more than my energy, that it's going to impact you more than your energy might impact me. I might not be as in tune to your energy. Right. And I may have to go, you seem a little off, and I'm probably picking up on your energy, but I'm not fluid in that language. Mm-hmm. But if the person you loved was if English was their second language and their fluid language was French, you're never going to be as good at French as they are, but you would pick some French up and you would make some effort to be able to talk to them in their language. Why is the language of energy any different?
I really love this. I think you're on to something, and maybe the next energy language, love language, will be a Kevin Ross Emery bestseller. Yeah. No, I think that you've convinced me otherwise, because I was saying by naming it, you're kind of taking away what's innately there. But I think that you've convinced me to think differently, and that by naming it and coming in together like that would be beautiful. I would sure like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Jeff and I talk and anything like that, I mean, one of both of our love languages is time.
Yeah.
And we both have, for very different reasons, extremely insane schedules. And that sometimes don't mesh at all. Sometimes there are 2-3 nights of a week where one or other of us is tied up, and then it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm here. But because time is one of our things, we always make that time. I always remember when we first started living together, and we were living at a complex that had a swimming pool, and I love to swim. Swim is one of my favorite exercises. And I was barreling towards wanting to get in shape before the wedding. And so I was getting up every morning and I was going to the pool and I was swimming, and, I got to the point where I had days I was doing 100 laps. Like I slimmed right down. They had to refit my kilt twice because I was swimming in it. Because when they measured me for my kilt,
Unintended.
I'm not, yeah, really. I'm like, I'm not going to get married in a kilt that size. And when I went back to get refitted, the kilt maker was like, what happened? But anyways, the point of the story was early on, I would get up really early, go, and I would always put Jeff's first cup of coffee on the table. His breakfast was on the table. So he would get up, I would be gone swimming, and he would have his coffee and his breakfast and everything without me and go to work, and I'd see him at the end of the day. And that went on for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. And then one day he was like, I just have to tell you, I just really miss like not having morning with you. He's like, I miss, I appreciate, I mean, he was very thankful. You're not leaving me on my own, for which I'm very appreciative. I mean, I still made his breakfast and
Yep.
But he said it exactly once, and I completely redid my schedule, and I started swimming at some other time. So I was there every morning for him for breakfast because it was important to him.
Right.
And sometimes in these days, that breakfast time might be our only time. But because he said it, because I recognized it as one of his love languages, the term we're using for this conversation.
Yeah.
I immediately said, okay, this is how my partner feels my love. If we made those conversations as tangible about energy, check-in, self-awareness, yes, I can give Jeff a necklace and he loves it, but it's not his language of love per
Right.
se. And so anyways, I'm probably belaboring this, but I do think having a more conscious conversation, could shift things for people if they go, okay, maybe I don't speak French, but I can learn. I love you enough to learn. Maybe I
Yep.
don't speak energy, but I love you enough to learn.
Yeah. Very interesting. I like it.
So there was my off the beaten path.
Yeah. Do you have any other wrap ups for Gratitude Month?
Huh. I mean, I was looking before the show went on, and I had a half-assed conversation with you that I never finished saying what was in my head out loud. Because I think all I said to you is, I guess I was wrong. I thought I had written a poem about gratitude recently, because I was speaking at a group on gratitude, and I thought I'd written a poem for it, but I couldn't find it because I thought, oh, that would be a nice wrap-up, just to read a poem I wrote on gratitude for the wrap-up of Gratitude Month. But I was looking, I'm like, I can't find it. Which Mercury is still retrograde.
How much longer? It's a long one this time.
Nah, they're all the same length, actually. They always feel like they're the longer one when you're getting close to the end of it. You're like, this has gone on for 3.5 years. What happened?
Yeah.
Did Mercury fall off the wagon? Did it forget to go straight? 11:25 to 12:15.
Oh, we're almost done. Okay.
We're almost done.
All right.
And for those of you out there, I know we're not doing weekly astrology anymore. We kind of, there's lots of great sources for you, for everybody. If they want to be on mailing lists, if they want to be parts, there's all sorts of great people that are doing it. It just started to be like, this was never meant to be an astrology show. Originally, the concept was have an astrologer on once a month for the whole month.
Yeah.
To kind of give people insight, but yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So, but do remember, at a Mercury retrograde, dig it out, talk about it. I had a meeting with my strategy team today. There was 5 or 6 actions. They were chomping at the bit to, like, I think we've decided. And I'm like,
nope.
No application till the 18th, because it stops retrograde on the 15th, and then it hangs out stationary going, and then it starts to slowly move forward, and then it picks up speed. So ends on the 15th, start putting some stuff in on the 18th. I told my strategy team next week when I meet them, we'll say, I'm going to be like, okay, we had one more week to think about it all. Mercury's direct. Let's just go through the checklist. Is anything standing out? Did anybody think of anything? Did we miss anything? Go.
Yep.
Recolor my world. Go.
Yeah.
So did you have any last wrap-up thoughts? I am grateful for my team. I do want to say that. I'm very lucky, and a lot of people that do what I do, some version of what I do, or are in the same quote unquote business that I'm in, they don't have a team. They're trying to do it all by their onesies, all by themselves. And, I've intentionally built something where if it's not my genius, it's not my job, and I make enough money to pay somebody else to do it, because that to me is your pathway to joy.
Agree. Agree. No, I don't have any final words on the gratitude wrap up. I think they're all on my Facebook page.
So what I'm doing right now, and I am actually going to go ahead and banner this out. I just wrote this banner, actually. Facebook, Insta. Oh, that shouldn't be a question mark. It should say TikTok, at Kevin Ross Emery. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I should probably hide this again, edit it, because this is one we should keep up for both of us, is to be able to promote where people can find us on social media. So at Kevin Ross Emery, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, also LinkedIn, but I didn't list LinkedIn here because I don't actually share this over to LinkedIn, which is every day I am doing a Christmas shirt of the day story.
Okay.
I started a few days after Thanksgiving because I have enough unique Christmas shirts to go all the way to Christmas.
Love. So good. Well, I didn't get to see your story today. Do you want to share what it was about?
Well, this was about the abominable snowman.
Yep.
And my story today was who is your favorite Christmas character? Like every year, are you waiting to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer save the day? Are you wanting the Grinch to watch the Grinch get redemption? Are you like, Scrooge? I mean, are you wanting to see the three ghosts? Like, what is your Christmas character? Is it Snoopy? I've done 2 or 3 Snoopy t-shirts. I think I have 4 different Christmas shirts that all have Snoopy on it for some reason. So I've already done Snoopy a couple of times. So today was just, about who is your favorite? Like who's the one that when Christmas comes, like you can't wait to watch Frosty the Snowman, or you can't wait to watch A Christmas Carol or whatever. And so it was an invitation one today. Yesterday, I had on a Snoopy shirt where there was all sorts of wood stocks hanging lights on Snoopy. And it was all like
I think I've seen that shirt on you.
Yeah. And so the message that day was about taking time and not getting frazzled during the holiday. Stop, read a chapter of your favorite book or the book you're reading right now, or watch an episode of something, or just sit and do a quiet meditation or have a cup of tea. It's a busy time of year. You don't want to like sit around all day and read the book. It would be nice, but it's probably going to cost you more stress at the end because you go, I now am one day further behind on the 5,000 things I'm trying to do. I mean, also be willing to say no. But so every Christmas shirt, there's a message or a story with.
That's great.
So if you want to see go to my Facebook, Kevin Ross Emery, Instagram, Kevin Ross Emery, TikTok, Kevin Ross Emery. And you can see what is what's my shirt of the day. And I have some fun shirts. We've already done Christmas. We've already done Santa Yoda. I have a great Christmas shirt with Yoda on it, with a Santa Claus hat, carrying a bag of goodies.
Funny. That's great.
My Christmas shirts, my Christmas hats, and my Merry Happy Ho Ho are some of my well-established Christmas traditions at this point. So, and I think it is important, and we talk a lot about this, is you need to make the holidays yours, whatever that is, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, or whether it is the longest night of the year and you're celebrating Yule, whatever you're celebrating, it's sacred, it's holy, it's meant to be a celebration. And we go from holy days to holy dazed. And so it's okay to say no. And it's okay to decide that maybe there are traditions from your childhood that don't work for you, or traditions you don't want to pass on to your kids. You don't have to pass your parents' traditions on to your children. You didn't sign a contract when you crawled out of the womb that says, I will continue all of your dysfunctional ways onto my children. You don't sign a contract, you just do it, but you don't.
Yeah.
So I really encourage people, find a new tradition every year, find a new tradition, or something that, makes it a little, we've Jeff and I have added some things in. I had stuff that I'd added in with other people in the past that I brought with me, but they're mine now. And now and so now they're Jeff and mine. And what is one of your favorite holiday traditional things this time of year?
Well, I grew up celebrating Christmas, and my grandmother was, she was unbelievable. She would decorate the whole house and do all of the, the trees, the lights, all of that stuff. And we would have Christmas there. And I mean, she really was the glue that we all gravitated toward her house for the holidays. And when she got older and then passed away, it all just kind of stopped. I am married and I converted to Judaism, so I am Jewish now. So we do Hanukkah, and when the kids were little, it was a big deal with the menorah, and we would do 8 gifts, but it's not like Christmas. My children celebrated Christmas with their grandmother, my mom, so they kind of got a little bit of a flavor of both. So to make a long-winded answer, we do the menorah. Kids are older now, so we do one bigger gift, but we try to not make it a commercial situation. It's really just about being together. And we try to, we make potato latkes. I admittedly didn't do them last year. I will do them this year, I promise. They make the house messy. And, we're trying to start some new traditions, as in taking this break between finals and the holidays to sneak away as a family. So we're missing one link of our chain this year because she's still abroad, but she's coming home the same day we are. So we will be reunited. So anyway, we're trying to come up with some newer traditions. The menorah is our tried and true. We also put a tree up at our we have a ski house, and we call it the Hanukkah bush. So we'll put a tree up there, and it has blue and white lights all over it, and Stars of David. So it's a little mishmash Chrismukkah. So Chrismukkah. But I miss some of the traditions that my grandmother was so good at maintaining, and the ornaments on the trees, and coming over, going to her house to decorate the tree was a big deal.
So yeah, I mean, I believe it to be important to infuse and live in the spirit that aligns with you. And then if you have children, what you want them to be exposed to, knowing that when they get to be adults, they're going to make choices. Easily one of your daughters could marry a guy who is a big Christmas guy, or marry a girl that's a big Christmas girl. Make no assumptions here. And suddenly now your holidays include that you're going over to their house to see your grandkids, and they have a big old Christmas tree and there's no menorah there.
They'll have a menorah, but I would love it if they could do, some of the big celebrations. I think it would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I watched my mother switch her traditions from when we were little kids, because we lived down the street from my grandmother, and we lived in the same town and within 20 miles of most of her siblings for my whole childhood. So all of my cousins and all the siblings would go to my grandmother's, and, like you're talking about, and there was some traditions there. And when, as my oldest brother and then my middle brother got to the place where they were in serious enough relationships that there was a talking of splitting the holidays, I always give my mother credit. She went from Christmas is Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, you would go visit the relatives, to Christmas Eve is when we open our gifts, is the day that we have set aside. And then you can go and see your grandmother and aunts and all of these people during Christmas Day when you want, but you can also be free to go to your significant others for Christmas. And my mother just decided that first year that there was kind of the beginning energies of conflict of where am I going to go for the holidays. My mother kind of figured it out, and Christmas became the annual Christmas buffet, Christmas Eve buffet, and Christmas Eve was it. And when they retired and didn't have a house anymore, I took it over for a couple of years when I had the best house to do it in. And then my sister took it over for a lot of the time, though my brother, pitched in for a couple of years. But we just always knew, okay, this is it. You come into the family, Christmas Eve is when we do it, because most people are more committed to Christmas Day, it seemed like back in the day.
Yeah.
And then we'd just go visit relatives on Christmas Day. And I'd be like, okay. I was the youngest, so I was the last one to have, well, actually, I wasn't the last one to have a serious enough relationship to make the difference. I was always a precocious child.
Yeah. We do actually celebrate Christmas with my side of the family, my mom, one of my brothers, and my brother's partner. And but we don't always celebrate on Christmas. We do it whatever works, where we can get a few days together, and we go away for a couple of nights, and we make it a gathering, but we don't necessarily have to have it on December 24th or 25th. It's just however it falls and works best for all the players is how we do it. This year we're going to be the 24th, 25th, and 26th, which is kind of funny. We don't usually hit a bullseye, but that's what we're doing.
Well, this year was interesting. This was the first actual Thanksgiving Day that we had Jeff and his mother and her husband and his father and his aunt over, and we did Thanksgiving dinner at our house, cooking in the new kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Which was a bit of a challenge in a way. Not that the kitchen didn't function beautifully. Some of the cooks were a little wasn't the kitchen, it was the operators. But I know that when we moved into this house, and you've been to this house, and we have that dining room. I have a dining room with a dining room table that if I need to, I can sit 16, 17 people around.
Nice.
So the first year we had this house, because we always gathered for all the holidays growing up. And then after my grandmother died, like after your grandmother died, that got a little less. And then my mother and stepfather retired, and it became a little less. And then we started doing our Thanksgiving and Christmas in October because they wanted to be down in Florida before the weather got bad. So then suddenly I'm left on my own for Thanksgiving or Christmas, depending on whether I was in a relationship or not, because all my siblings at that point were married with families. And then it was be kind of like, and my mother was, the holidays would get close, would call every year and say, so you're not going to be alone for the holidays, right? One of your siblings invited you. And I always had an open invitation to either one of my siblings' houses for all the holidays. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like they forgot me or anything, but
Yeah.
my poor mother was afraid because she was in Florida that her baby would get left alone. You know, we're talking, I'm in my 30s and 40s now. Gee.
Checking up on you. That's what moms do.
Yeah, that's what moms do. But the first year we were in this house for Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Day, we went somewhere. But I said to Jeff, I was like, well, how has this holiday been for you? And oh, we always went to, his parents divorced when he was just a baby. He's like, this was always the holiday that was the holiday with my dad's family. And and his mother went on at some point and remarried, and they just didn't really do Thanksgiving as a holiday, the two of them, because they, went on to have just adult kids, and they were, stuff like this. And I was like, so you never ever all get together? And he's like, yeah, I mean, he's like, my parents are cordial to each other. I mean, they're not mean. They don't put each other down. They've never tried to like pull me between. I'm not like one of these traumatized divorced kids that was in the middle. That was me. He said, but no, it's a little sad. It's like I have to figure out which. So I started a tradition at that point for the first few years where the sad day after Thanksgiving, his mother and her husband and his father and anybody else was coming over for us to do a Jeffrey's family Thanksgiving where we all sat down at the same table. And I actually changed a trend in the family for them. They started doing more things because I would just keep inviting them both. And they didn't have a problem being in the same room, but the whole mindset was, either Jeff's off with dad and
Right.
dad's family, or Jeff's off with mom and mom's family. And I was like, no. We're family, your family,
Yeah.
show up.
Love it.
Went right in like a bulldozer. No, new traditions. And this year we got them all on actually Thanksgiving Day, which was a first time we actually had the group on Thanksgiving Day. So this is what I'm talking about, traditions. We get to make, we get to change them, we get to shift them, we get to own them. So I do want to address, and we may address this more. We've got one more week before we're off until the new year. But one of the other things that for me ended up being personally hard for the holidays was that little period where I had come out and was in openly same-sex relationships, and my mother's fears and phobias and issues got in the way, and she kind of blocked me from being involved with her side of the family if I wasn't going to stay in the closet. Like, it was made very clear. Yep. No such thing about as showing up at my grandmother's with a boyfriend or talking about a boyfriend. My mother was absolutely would go absolutely hysterical if I even suggested the idea that. And so I went through a decade where I completely disconnected from my mother's side of the family because I couldn't go and be myself.
Right.
And I'd been really close with those cousins. Especially, at one point when finally I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this shit for you anymore. Like, this is my family. I get to have them. You have to deal with it. Go be hysterical. I'm not dealing with it.
Right.
At first it was out of respect to her because she was so upset. She'd get so upset at the thought of it, let alone me actually showing up. So,
yeah.
But it's hard this time of year for lots of members of the queer community. And because they may not feel like they can be themselves. They may not feel like that they're welcome. I know you have a brother and he has a partner.
Mhm.
And um, was there ever an issue with like your mother or with people on your family? Of course,
Nope.
you're younger than I am, so it's been getting a little better through the years, though it's worse now. But for a
Yeah.
long better.
And he's younger than I am as well, but it's still, and I don't want to share his story without, conferring with him. But my family, open arms. Anybody that I was close to, in any case, totally open, accepting, is what it is. And even, our grandparents, they were like, okay, it's all good. You're still Alex.
So the first thing I want to say, and I want to, like I said, we're going to spend a little time talking about it this week, and we may talk about it, and we're probably going to talk about it again a bit more next week. But when the holidays are rough for whatever reason, this can be a really rough season for a lot of people because of loss, because of feeling like they can't be themselves with their family, that they get emotionally blackmailed into showing up but shutting up.
Mm.
My big thing, God loved my mother, and I'm not trying to make her sound like she was a bad or evil woman. She wasn't. She had her challenges like we all do. But she'd always be like, well, you can't tell your grandmother, she wouldn't understand. And what would your Uncle Norman think? He's a construction worker. He's not going to be all happy about, having a gay nephew. And and like, again, she'd go in her head. And the funny thing is, my grandmother knew before my mother did.
Yeah, often the case, right?
Right. And I didn't tell my grandmother. I didn't, quote unquote, come out to my grandmother, but I showed up at my grandmother's house one night. My grandmother lived in Kittery, and I was at a gunquet, which is a very big draw, and has a very big draw for the queer community.
Yeah.
My boyfriend and I at the time were at the beach for the day, and I adored my grandmother. I adored both of my grandmothers. It's one of these days I'm going to write a book about these two incredible women and what they brought into the world. They were both so far ahead of their time. But we went to see my grandmother. We played cards. She made us dinner. And of course we weren't holding hands. We weren't carrying on in front of her. I was being, somewhat, and we're sitting there and we're having to drive back to Manchester, which is like, back then was like, close to an hour because of the roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, well, I don't know if we'll stop by or not, because it's a Sunday night, but maybe we will. But, we're going to come back down and go to the beach, but we're going to go, back home, go back to Manchester. And my grandmother looked at me and she never missed a beat. And she said, well, you guys can stay here if you want tonight, and then you're that much closer to go to the beach. And of course I froze because, I'm 19, 20 years old with a boyfriend who I don't want to be, not spending the night with. Right? You get my drift.
La, 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 la.
La, 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 la.
My ears. Yes, I guess your drift. Very sweet.
And I was like, no, that's fine. And she goes, it's fine. She goes, there's a full bed in the guest room. And she goes, and there's two twins you can push together in the other guest room, or I can sleep in that one and you can, sleep in and you guys can sleep in my bed. She goes, it's not a problem. And I can get up in the morning and make you breakfast and you can go to the beach for the day. And I was like, no, we really got to go home. I love you. Thank you. Bye. And she was very nice the guy's name was Paul. I still remember his name. And she was like, I'm so glad to meet you. And, you're welcome anytime. And she gave him a big hug and stuff like this.
Aww.
We never discussed it. And we
Go Nana.
And Paul looks at me and goes, you told me she didn't know. And I said, I didn't know she did. But for 2 or 3 years after that, my mother kept saying, you can never tell your grandmother, she wouldn't understand. People of that generation, she'd be so upset. It would really bother her. Are you trying to put her in her grave early? And I'm like, Ma, she knows. No, she didn't. She had no idea what she was saying. I'm like, no, it was pretty obvious.
Very funny. Well, she sounds like a special lady.
She was.
I heard you talk about her before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but I do think it's important that sometimes the holidays is about chosen family, and don't get emotionally blackmailed. Don't, out of obligation, show up places where you're not fully welcome.
I think that's very important for people to remember. It's just to try and stand fully in yourself. And if people can't accept who you are fully, then they're not your people.
Yep.
But shouldn't make yourself small for anyone.
Nope. But during this time of year, there is that extra stress. And then there's the stress of, I have to go home and pretend because nobody at home knows, or I have to be, and you have to take your mental health into consideration. And, I fought with my family and from the perspective, if I have somebody important in my life and I'm in love, and I think this is somebody I'm going to spend the whole rest of my life with, don't ever invite me to any family gathering without inviting them, or I'm not coming. Like,
Yep.
This is a line right in the sand. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I said, you would not ask either of my siblings to not show up with their significant other.
Exactly.
And of course, I'm talking the 80s. So I was,
yeah.
It was like, yeah. Nope. This is it. It's all or nothing, guys. And I know that's hard. And I'm not going to advocate that tis the season to come out to your family. But if it's not mentally healthy for you to be with your family of birth, then you may need to reconsider your relationship with them. Don't just go and drink until you are blind drunk and pass out on your bed, because pretending is exhausting.
It really is. In all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can, and that goes if you don't get along with your in-laws. Set some boundaries. You can be civil, but not a doormat.
That's for sure. I'm fortunate. I have a very, well, first of all, I'm not queer, so there was no question, but a very accepting family all around and wonderful in-laws. So I can't personally identify, but I can have great empathy for it.
Yeah. So next week, I want you and I, Ashley, to maybe dive just a little deeper into how if the holidays are triggering for you? Like, this is a time of year where, for whatever reason, we always hear about grandma or grandpa who died on Christmas or died during Hanukkah, or it's like, it seems like some people are like, yeah, 2020 is not my year. I'll die December 2019 or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Out.
And, and how do you deal with the holidays if you are centered around holidays where it's all about kids and spouses and you're single and childless, or you've lost a child?
Mm-hmm.
Holidays are a painful reminder that that child is no longer there. And so I know that I've, through the years, in different variations of my shows, whether it was my original outside the box radio show, to I've done some TV shows, to my Laughing, Loving, and Alive podcast I did for almost 3 years with Rain Thomas and Elmer Howard. Sooner or later, we have a intense mental health conversation and what to do if you're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm inviting you to join me next week, Ashley, to address some of how do you take care of your mental and emotional health during the holidays? What are some of the things out there? Because I'm grateful. We'll end on gratitude. I love my life. Does it have its bumps? Absolutely.
Yep.
But I love my life. I love my husband. I love my house and my cats. I'm way past petty family anythings.
Yep.
And so I'm very grateful. I am very lucky. But I never lose sight of those who, for this time of year, is a big struggle. And I would say you're in the same place I am. You're very lucky.
Absolutely. Very, very fortunate. I'm incredibly grateful for all of the same things. Family. Yep, all of it. Very, very fortunate. But it's not all smooth sailing. That's for shit sure.
So, no.
Yes.
We all have our bumps and our lumps and our things. I mean,
can you imagine how uninteresting we would be without those bumps and lumps? Ugh. Bleh.
Well, no one's ever accused me of being boring, so I guess I'm maybe bumpier than the rest. I don't know.
You're pretty lumpy.
Lumpy. Okay. Well, now that I've been insulted.
Oh, that's not an insult. It's a term of endearment. With that context, it sure is.
Yo, lumpy.
Hey, lumpy.
Okay. So for our listeners, whether you're watching this live or you're watching one of the replays, or you're watching it on Podbean or Spotify or wherever you're downloading our podcast, you can info@kevinrossemory.com. You can show up next Thursday at 6 p.m. live right here. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. But come with your questions.
Absolutely.
With hey, I'm not sure how to handle this in the holiday season. You can, if you send us an email and say you just want anonymity, we'll come up with a fake name for you. If you want to be here and chat in live, you can do comments. But a lot of times people almost feel like they can't be sad, or they can't be a Debbie Downer or a Donnie Downer, whatever, because it's a holiday, and where's your Christmas spirit? I mean, No, this is a tough time of year for lots of people for lots of reasons.
It
And
is.
pasting on a smile and then going home and suffering is not the way to celebrate it.
Nope. So come next week. You can write in comments and we can discuss it. It can stay completely anonymous, but we can, if there's something that's troubling you and you just want to have a little bit, you can have a vent session, or you can have a little bit of,
Advice.
some advice, practical,
Spirit.
spiritual advice. It says it right there. All right. We are out of time. So
Bon voyage.
thank you. See you all next week. Hopefully I'll have a little tan. But thank you. See you all.
Bye.
Bye.